Las Vegas,
Yeah.
right? And I think you're way too hard on yourself in that situation. I've done the Letterman show. I know when you're on the show, you answer quickly because that's talk shows.
Yeah.
And you describe a scenario where when you were, this is from your first album, Leaving Las Vegas, and the song was a huge hit, and you got together with a bunch of musicians, and you guys on Tuesday nights used to perform together and write together and do all this stuff. And there was a book laying there called Leaving Las Vegas, and it inspired the song. And you didn't even know they had contacted the author of the book. I hope I have the story right. But
Well, it's kind of right. The title, there was no book laying around, but one of the writers, we'd always say, okay, somebody throw out a title. And one of the guys was standing at the back by the great big wall of bookshelves and said, oh, here's an interesting title, Leaving Las Vegas, and acted as though there was a book back there called Leaving Las Vegas. Well, I guess unbeknownst to us, I think he had a relationship with John O'Brien or knew him, or I still don't know the story, because it turns out that this particular writer has a bit of a poor relationship with the truth. So the story changed many times, but ultimately when John O'Brien took his own life, I got the blame for it. And there were lots of stuff written about how I had promised I'd never met him, and all I could think of was this was somebody's son. And even if your conscience is clear, it is gut wrenching, you know. It definitely put it definitely, by the time I got in to make my second album, I felt like I'm going to close the door and I'm just going to write, and maybe I'll put it out and maybe I won't, but I'm just going to write. I'm going to make a record I like, and then I'll decide what I'm going to do next. But
you made the second album. When you made the second album, it was such a big hit. Was that also like, thank God, because I had to prove to the world that I could write my own album, produce my own album, because everyone's accusing me of some sort of like plagiarism or something. So that drive was like, I'll show you how I do it on my own.
Yeah, except for I didn't feel that. I mean, it's sort of like the thing about the fiance, and you're like, oh, screw him. I didn't feel that when I went, and I felt like a puppy that had been slapped in the face for no reason, and I just wanted to go in and kind of lick my wounds, and I closed the doors, and my record label didn't even know I was going to produce it because Bill was supposed to be there. And ultimately, I wound up making a record that I really loved, but I never read another thing ever again.
But when you perform Leaving Las Vegas, like you're going to do now, when you perform it, does it have a negative connotation in your mind because it caused you pain, and I saw the tears were real? I mean, is it painful to sing the song because of the controversy? It took a while for me to make my peace with it, and actually there are songs I make my peace with and come around to feeling really grateful for. I also, when my second son was about 6, I could hear him singing this in the back seat, and he sang, "Life springs a turtle." And I was like, oh, life springs a turtle. Okay. And now I play it, and it's like, oh, I like